Over the weekend, there was a gathering of Afrikaners at the US Embassy in Pretoria. Thousands went there, and of course, the left and mainstream media kicked it into high gear to try and make it look like these people are racist. Well, I'm going to explain why they're not. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Let's get into it.
Issues of vibrators.
To make sure that we leave no unturned and stone.
Did I hear that correctly? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Newsflash. I'm your host, Emilio. Thanks for tuning in. The US Embassy in Pretoria says it's sending a petition from a group of Afrikaners to President Donald Trump. About 1,000 people gathered outside the embassy in Pretoria on Saturday. They want Trump to intervene in policies and laws they claim impact the Afrikaner community. Now, it was reported that it was actually more than 1,000. Here it says about 2,000 people showed up to support President Trump and myself and Willem's message today to the international community concerning the corrupt ANC and its partner, the DA. We handed the petition with more than 138,000 signatures together with the memorandum of what is happening in South Africa to the US Embassy. See, now in the footage that I'm showing you now, you can see that there's a large group of South Africans or white South Africans, Afrikaners, who are gathered at the embassy. Now, for those of you who like Trump, and even if you don't like Trump, to be honest, it doesn't really matter, but it seems that some people didn't like the signs that were being held at this gathering. For example, the Make South Africa Great Again. It seems like everyone is just attacking that phrase, Make South Africa Great Again, and somehow just saying that is racist.
Typical.
Hate to tell you this, but apartheid is not coming back. Pack your bags and leave. Make South Africa great again. This is what they mean. They proudly say, Make South Africa great again. Greatness to them is apartheid. We cannot coexist with these racist things. The only time South Africa was great for Afrikaners was during apartheid. That's what they want. These Make South Africa Great Again banners baffle me. I do wonder during which period in our history do protesters consider South Africa as being great. The only great again they are talking about is bringing back apartheid. Now, I do have an opinion on this, but before I get to that, let me just show you how bad it actually got. Like, some people were starting to really spread misinformation. For example, this is not a colorized picture taken in 1948. This is a picture of an Afrikaner protest today on the 15th of February 2025. These are the so-called victims of genocide. And you see there's an image there, people raising their hands, and then community notes coming to save the day. The picture was not taken on 15th of February 2025, but in April 2010 at a funeral of Afrikaner nationalist Eugene Terblanche. The hearse has been cropped out. Yeah. And in case you don't believe community notes, there's the hearse. There's the same lady. There's the hearse. This guy obviously cropped it out. It's amazing how people are just trying to sow division. Now, I want to come back to this clip. ENCA reporting on what happened, but it's interesting the type of people that they chose to interview, or at least put on TV.
We're here today to thank President Trump for everything he's doing and to make South Africa great again. We need all the crime in South Africa to stop.
Fair request.
We want South Africa back like it used to be. For everybody, it's got the same rights. Not just the ANC, they must consider us as well.
We want Donald Trump to intervene and to force Ramaphosa to resign.
Yeah, yes, because Trump invited us to come to America. That's the only reason, and now we're going. We're definitely going.
Okay, so let me talk about this for a quick second, because we can see that, first of all, let me say that there's nothing wrong with any individual in that video clip, but I can guarantee you that the editors of ENCA really tried to edit this in a way that makes certain people skeptical. The woke types, right? The lefties, to nitpick at every single word that each of this person said. Like, for example, the last lady who said, oh, we want to go to America and we're going to America. She's going to be now labeled as a racist just because she wants to go to America. That's basically what's going to happen. And a lot of these people, the one, like the guy who said, we want Cyril Ramaphosa to resign, probably also going to receive hate. The first lady, that was a fair request. We want crime to stop. And that's the thing about what these Afrikaners are saying. They're not saying no one at all during this protest went on the stage and said, oh, we want apartheid back, make South Africa great again. No one said that. No one is going to say that because nobody wants apartheid back. What they mean and what they are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is number one, they're just making an association. Trump had the whole campaign about make America great again. What it meant was America first, the American people first. And that's exactly what he's doing, right? He's cleaning up the swamp. So by saying make South Africa great again, that is what people are talking about. They want South Africa to be great again in the sense that the swamp needs to be cleaned up in South Africa. No one can argue that the ANC is highly corrupt and highly racist. That's number one. And number two, to clean up the country in the sense to make everything work. The crime system needs to be looked at and addressed. The education system needs to be made better. The healthcare system, everything in this country that is falling apart needs to be fixed. And that's all these South Africans are talking about. And that I'm not even going into the farm attacks and farm murders that happen almost on a daily basis in South Africa, which is one of the reasons why some of these people want to leave, because they probably are victims of farm attacks and farm murders or know someone who has been a victim of that. But of course, the wokeism, the left-leaning media wants to fixate on one phrase and try and twist it and make you believe that it is racist when in fact it is everything but.
What will I think of next?
Who can argue that you don't want a great South Africa? It is why some of the Afrikaners are choosing to stay, because they want to fix South Africa. They don't want apartheid back. They want South Africa to be prosperous for everyone, which is what that one lady in that clip was trying to say. Now, could they have chosen a different phrase? Maybe their own phrase? Maybe. I kind of agree with Kifness on this one. I was offered a hat that says, make South Africa great again. To be honest, this is not a good slogan because it implies that there was a time when South Africa was a great place for all, which isn't true. Maybe make South Africa great is a better choice. It actually was the first 2 or so years after the elections. He's obviously referring to when Nelson Mandela took over. Yeah, I remember there was a lot of hope and optimism and perhaps heading towards greatness. But yeah, kind of fell off a cliff when the Madiba magic wore off and ANC started showing their true colors. And this I 100% agree with. Now, I wasn't around in South Africa during that time, but I've heard many stories from my friends and the older generation saying how that time in 1994, during those few years, were greatness. South Africa was on a high. People felt like there was finally change was coming and there was a unity unlike we've seen before. I think the closest we can get to that feeling is when the Springboks win the World Cup. There's that sense of unity and greatness for South Africa. And I personally do believe that South Africa was on a trajectory of greatness. Unemployment rate was one of the lowest it's ever been during Nelson Mandela's reign. And as Kifness says, unfortunately, ANC eventually showed their true colors and everything went downhill. But just those few years is what everyone is talking about. That's the greatness that everybody wants back. And imagine what South Africa could have been had the ANC done right by the people. Now, I think there's a tweet that sums up what's happening quite well. South Africa and the white farmers. White farmers, please stop killing us and stop the 140 race-based laws that prevent us from having water access. ANC communist billionaires, we are going to expropriate your land without compensation and increase the race-based laws so we boil you like frogs. EFF Marxists, shoot the boer, kill the boer. Black South Africans, we will do what we want. Go suck America. Hope you all die. Trump, we will give you refugee status and you can come work in America. ANC, America is racist. And that's one thing that people have to consider in this situation is that some Afrikaners really do feel like they are being abused and oppressed. And I know that this pisses off a lot of Black South Africans in South Africa because some of them will say, oh, you don't know what oppression feels like, blah, blah, blah. And it's misguided feelings because ironically, the ANC is also oppressing Black people. The ANC has done nothing good for any South African. We are all being abused by our government. But the ANC spin doctors are very good at making their support blame the white people. In the same way Hitler used to blame the Jews for Germany's problems. So a group of Afrikaners gathered outside the US Embassy, and yet some are desperate to spin it into a story of racism. But in reality, these are just people calling for help, expressing their frustrations. The real danger isn't in their message. message. It's in those who deliberately misinterpret it to fuel division. Yes, it's true that some Afrikaners are probably going to go off to the States, but there's a lot of Afrikaners that are also going to stay in South Africa to try and find solutions to South African problems. As shown here, across South Africa, the government is being quietly replaced by citizens. Government is slowly getting replaced by citizens, an article in Business Tech. And this has been happening for a while now. The ANC and certain players in the media and on social media are doing a very good job of trying to sow division in South Africa. And I really hope that most South Africans can see past the BS and realize that there's just a group of people that are asking for help and are thankful for the help. That's all it is. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, ladies and gentlemen. While you're there, leave a like on this video, share it far and wide, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I've got more content coming your way, and please consider becoming a member to this channel. It goes a long way to supporting me and what I do on this channel, producing the content and all that stuff. So please support the channel like that, or give a super thanks. It's also greatly appreciated, or Sasa thanks as we call them on this channel. Anyways, with all that being said, thanks for watching. Your newsflash is in.
To my side, and there's a giant piece of snakeskin.
Bro, it's one thing looking in your bedroom for a fucking snake once you've seen shedded snake skin. I get it, bro. Like, you want to look for the fucking dangerous creature that could kill you at any moment. But why are we doing it in the dark, my bro? You know what I'm saying? You're doing it with a little flashlight. That thing could be behind you like in the horror movies, my bro. Please, my bro. If fucking just put the light on. Do you know what I'm saying? You could be stepping on the fucking thing. It could be hanging from the ceiling fan. You know what I'm saying? You're making me emotional now, my bro. But put the torch away and put on the fucking lights, bro.